Okay, here's an Oopart in a different way. Now, an Oopart is an out-of-place artifact, and this is kind of a weird one in a different way. It's not something that just doesn't seem like it should be there, but it seems like something that you can't figure out how it got there. And it has to do with cave art too, so more of that for y'all guys. 5,000-year-old battle between mountain sheep comes back to life in new rock art discovery. And this is from the Siberian Times Reporter. I didn't see anything in Americas about it at all. It came out last year. But how did ancient artists create prehistoric masterpieces on sheer cliffs today, only as accessible by sophisticated modern climbing equipment? And you look and you see this sheep, and they're squaring off like they're going to do the bighorn sheep and knock their heads, and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Also, if you look up here, there seems to be a line and a staircase to it or something, or a zigzag that comes up almost like a T shape. I don't know if y'all can see that there. And then down here, if you'll look, their legs are drawn real skinny, and they've got two little pokes coming out, and I'm guessing that's to mimic their hooves because they have the two little two-hoof, cloven hoof animal things. But there's a squiggle that's right there beside what I'm doing, and an eye. It's like a pretty decent eye too. So there's, and if you look, this whole wafer right here has just been knocked out, and then this ram was put there afterwards. But this whole chunk here is all came out of the stone. I don't know where it, but just wafered completely off. You can see the patina here between the elder and what it doesn't have from down here, and where they did this, and they're dating these at quite some age. It's an image of Argale, their horned mountain sheep, squaring up for battle. When the Soviet authorities dammed the giant Yenisei River to generate hydroelectricity, they made an artificial reservoir some 388 kilometers long, roughly the distance from New York to Washington, D.C. Never wider, though, than 15 kilometers, and with a maximum depth of about 105 meters. In doing so, the ancient petroglyphs that were there in that valley were submerged forever, or so scientists believe. Now, due to markedly varying water levels in Krasnoyarsk Reservoir, or Sea, I'm going to botch these names, some of the submerged rock art is reappearing from the deep, while other finds are being made, thanks to observations by boat from the water high upon the cliff sides. And if you look, it's real near Ustuba, and what they've done is dam up the river here, and it's made a giant lake, or a long lake, something that looks like a rift lake, and it's kind of what they did, I guess, down in Egypt, where they dammed up Aswan and they backed up that whole area that's in there. They did something like that, and I believe this connects on through here and makes this great lake that goes into here too. And so people boating around on here gone, of course, close to the edges somewhat, and they found these petroglyphs that are up there that, of course, before this got elevated up 110 foot, you couldn't even see them from the ground down there. They'd be at a hard angle and so on, and then they're only about halfway up on a lot of these cliff faces and things. We'll take a look at this, but yeah, the anomaly here is how the hell they put them up there in the first place. And this has to do with Proto-Indo-Europeans again. What we're looking at here is on the edge of the lake, and you can see how this striated rock got pushed up at an angle, like the buckling of the earth and so on. I'm sure somebody's going to say, oh, there were people here 40 million years ago, but no. But there's some all over this rock face that's right up here, right? And this dam made the water up to where it is now. And if you look, there's a line on the edge where it used to be about 10 foot higher, okay? But nobody can get up there. And the only way they can think of it is that some of these rocks that were here that did make a ledging system up to it all fell down, and maybe some of the petroglyphs fell down too. But that's one. Problem is there's more there, and some of these sheer cliffs where it takes repelling gear to even get near it. So let's look at this again. Here's another picture of one of these big hills, and you can see it's made of quartzites and things, and it's got a layered system that's running through it. But some of these are up on these faces that are up here. Some of them, now you can see the water level, how it's dropped from where it exactly was when they filled it up, and down. And they're finding a lot of them just right in this line After they found a bunch of them, people are looking around with binoculars and they're seeing them up in here and up in here and up in here, all over the place. And to get to look at these things, they have to rappel from all the way up here. I think what they ought to do is get like one of the drones and have it put up there. But they tell you the highest concentration of carvings is on the rocks of the Olgati mountain range, left bank of the Yenisei, and the Tepsi, which is the right bank of the Yenisei, on the right bank of the Tuba River where it flows into the Yenisei, or Yenesei. The later, intriguingly, are on rock faces that would be impossible to reach for modern man except for perhaps with state-of-the-art climbing equipment. One is an image of two Argali, horned mountain sheep, squaring off for battle. And mountain sheep can get up in things like this. I don't know if you've ever seen them before, but they can climb around on the sheerest of ledges, and even the young ones seem to have this real ease to it. I'm sure some of them fall, and they only do it once, right? But these people would have been risking their life to do this. You can see these places they've marked and demarcated up here, and they're showing you over here the boat and where the boat water level was, and so you could pull up and get up through here and get on here and come up and look at these things here in September of 2016. Well, it kept coming back and coming back, and now it got low enough that there are some that are shown right here on the sides of the river, and now we're down here at May of 2014, and a lot more of them have been exposed, and this whole area from there to here, and of course from here people were seeing them higher, and now people are looking for them and seeing them all over the place. And it says, due to markedly varying water levels in Karanorsk Reservoir, or the sea as they call it, some of the submerged rock art is reappearing from the deep, while other finds are being made, thanks to observations by boats from the water high on cliff sides. Soviet scientists did their best to record the array of rich petroglyphs before they were submerged by reservoir that stretches almost the entire distance between the Siberian cities of Abakan and Karanorsk. Expert Elena Miklashevic, an archaeologist at Tomskaya Pisanitsa Museum Reserve, said that dozens of ancient rock art sites were submerged. I'm sorry if I'm botching these names. At the time, there was an understandable belief that this superb treasure trove was gone forever, submerged, and yeah, you could tell somebody about it. Maybe you can go look at them diving. Now, though, many masterpieces have emerged from the deep and proven resistant to decades of water, while highly significant new discoveries have been made as scientists scour rock faces from the surface using binoculars. So, in other words, they thought all these were gone, and these were the highest ones they probably are, even higher than they ever saw before. When they filled it up, they went above this level. People didn't notice it. As it comes down, people are like, hey, look, there's a cow on the wall. That looks like one of those old aurochs or something. Those don't even exist anymore. What is that? Well, then they look up 20 foot on the wall above them, and there's another one. And they push their boats around the edges. They're like, there's one, there's one. Hey, let's go get our binoculars. Next time, let's bring our binoculars. Tell some people. Next thing you know, they have found hundreds and hundreds of these things. So it's pretty neat. Here's a closer look at one that's actually still submerged. You can see the water level catching it right there, and how it's just up under the water level, just the edge of its back and butt sticking out of the water level. Right? And you have people going along in these boats. They can go right up to them, literally just touch them. There they are, right in front of you. Some of them showing some symbology, but most of them are just animalistic. This one looks probably like I don't know, I think it's a moose. I don't know. In 1990s, when problems began in the Russian economy, the level of the Yenisei reservoir began to fall quite often, the lecturer explained. Sometimes in the southern part of the Yenisei River, it was almost back to its pre-flood level, she said. In the 1990s, with my first independent expedition, I conducted documentation of petroglyphs in the Oglokty Mountains, 60 kilometers north of Abakan. Suddenly, we saw that islands had appeared in the middle of the reservoir. The water had fallen that low, or very low. Here's back in the 60s, before they filled the thing up, and people finding from the ground rock art that they're doing, and they're trying to get pictures of them, and you can see these people trying to rappel up and then hold on with her teeth and up around her body. What the hell? and she's going to try to scratch and draw this out while it's going on. I mean, you do what you can, but look at how they're way up on these cliffs. I mean, somebody's not going to, these are ones that are accessible. You can see by the way that goes, accessible, and they've made this funny looking little log thing to get up here and get at another one. You know, the kind of a hell of a way to do it, but hey, you've got to. I guess nowadays, though, if we take a drone out there, you know, you could really do something with it, and I'd like to see that. So that was back in the 60s. We went to inspect the rocks along the coast, and it turned out that many petroglyphs, probably more than half of the known ones, were not totally destroyed under the water. Some were hidden by scree, others destroyed, but still, a lot of them were available for copying. In 2014, funding was given by State Nature Reserve Kakaski for a more detailed inspection. The petroglyphs are located along the banks of the Yenisei River and its tributaries between the Abakan and Karanovik, said Dr. Mliskavich. God, these names. In the central and north parts of the reservoir, where the water levels remain even high whenever it's discharged, some rock art sites are located 40 meters underwater. They are unlikely to ever be seen again. And so you can see these people, and they're going around, and they got their binoculars going, right? And he's looking way up here at some that are up there, but look, there's a bird type effigy right here, and right here it looks like I see is that a turtle or something right here? And then that level looks like a fish facing this way to the left with a stripe in its body. I could be wrong. It may even be a smaller cow facing the other way with horns as what I thought was the tail, because that might be a leg right there, but I don't really see the other leg. I do see something, man. Yeah, you can't get a good look at them. Circulus object right there. Look, there's a people right there. Yeah, so they didn't draw just animals, but that's one of the few people you see on this thing. And so you see these people going around looking, and they're all over different flat places that are all over here. And of course the water line used to be up here just a couple of years before this, and it was way up here before that, and they didn't see any of these. But the oddity, you know, is how did these people, don't tell me they were like super mega rock climbing people with suction kung fu grip holding onto the walls while chipping with one hand or something silly. I mean, did these people have repelling equipment? Why would they go through all of this type of trouble? You know, I guess if you fall and jump out, at least you aren't going to hit stuff on the way down, and you might survive it eating into the lake water and then get to climb your way back up. When I lived down in Austin going to school, there was places that we could climb up and jump off the side of cliffs. One place was like 25 foot, another was like 35, 40, and you could get up the top and run off it, and it was about 60 foot off the water. There's another place over in Paleface Cliffs that got up to like 90 foot, but that's only because the lake was like 20 foot low. It was normally about 70. People would tell you have to jump off there with shoes on and stuff, but I saw one guy go off there and do like 8 flips. I mean, he literally just like crazy going into it, and he ended up going in feet first, but there's also some rope swings out there and everything else. But and we went climbing around on those places and stuff. Never found anything neat. Found where kids had drawn their graffiti a lot of times, and found a mountain lion one day, but I guess that's a total different story. This looks like it might be one of those Auroch bulls or something, only because it's got that bullhorn type of look there. And if you look, there's something else in between her arms here. I think it's a goat, lamb facing that way. You can see its little horns, its eye, and everything. Looks done pretty well. Of course, she's trying to stick this over something that's right there now. I don't know what that is. But it's never easy when pictures are made from the ground, let alone taking them from a shaking boat. But in the southern part, from Abkan downstream, luckily the water level drops so low that the rocks on the riverbanks open and the petroglyphs can be seen. This gives the opportunity to study and record these ancient artworks. The highest concentrations of carvings on the rocks of the Algati mountain range, left bank of Yenisei, and the Tepsi, right bank of the right. The study of these petroglyphs is very important. Modern methods help to find new important details, the compositions, and new figures. More interestingly, absolutely new engraving areas not spotted before are being found. Earlier, they were probably covered with lichens or located too high to even see them. And so you look over here, and that looks almost like a moose. I don't even see that little head on him there. Is that a whole rack of antlers or just another thing? Is that like an auroch type of thing? And then you can see, I don't know what's, oh, you can see that. So I don't know if is that a moose or an auroch. Let's go down there. Engraving of a wild bull auroch. Okay, well, I'm going to go with them. The research can be hazardous and risky, she said. Scientists sail in boats close to the rocks, clean the surface, and standing in the boat, take pictures. It's never easy when pictures are made from the ground, let alone taking them from shaking boats. Significantly, fluctuations in the water level by as much as 6 meters mean that the experts can sometimes see rock art emerging from the depths, but also notice petroglyphs higher up on the cliffs. We have spotted a number of very interesting multi-figured compilations or compositions, she noted. And you look here, and there's a big amount of them here. There's one up here, and the rest of them are all over this facing here. And it looks like I see a horse right here in front of another animal that looks maybe like a bull. And then you see a deer and maybe another bull. And then you see one of those ram horn sheep things and another horned deer or antlered deer with a baby maybe, right? And so you can see these hooked together, and that's probably one of those auroch bulls, real big. And there's some drawn here in the distance too that are smaller, you know, like a perspective situation almost. I mean, is it to that depth? It's kind of neat. Oh, here's a closer picture of what we're looking at. Yeah, you can see them at a distance. It almost looks like a depth, like this darker line and lighter line here would be like over the hill and far away, and there they are over there too. Huh. Maybe they did use it as a perspective type situation. Kind of neat. You can definitely make out that's a deer. And that's probably got to be a sheep. Advances in technology, not least photography, mean the previously known images can be looked at afresh with far more detail recorded and understood, like high pixel cameras, and then being able to exaggerate the contrast, look at them, and and things like we did on the ones in Egypt where they took and you can't hardly see them anymore, and then they contrasted them real hard, and you go, there it is. We find new features in the style and techniques of drawing, said the archaeologist. Every detail is important, how the eye is located, the way the hoofs are drawn, in order to distinguish the style or hands of the master. Scanning the rock faces from water using binoculars, the scientists have found many new petroglyphs. Before the flood, it was impossible to see them from the shore. She revealed, we made the great discoveries on the rocks of Olgati whole site found. One of the brightest finds here is rock art depicting the argyli or mountain sheep and wild bulls. And we saw that picture here before. That looks like a boar to me. I don't know. Some of these people may not be the best artists in the world. Who knows? They really couldn't stand back and look at it, could they? But wild boar from Utstuba. Okay. The image of wild sheep squaring up is seen as unique. The Utstuba, we managed to find an image of a bird, not previously known among the ancient petroglyphs of the Yenisei area, but well documented among similar images in the Mongolian Altai Mountains, which I've showed some of last year. A real success was the discovery of the Utstuba large multi-figure compositions where all the animals are presented in pairs: wild bulls, sheep, goats, horses, deer, elk, and wild boars. Many images are engraved and polished. Most of these are impossible to reach, which means close-up copying is not possible. And here's another look up on a cliff that you can see probably, oh, this is the two sheep. And then there's something here with a pointy head on it, pointing up. I don't know, that reminds me of like a tapir and it trying to stick out its tongue and eat off a tree, but it's probably something else totally. They'll probably say it's an elk. Ooh, there's something that looks over here, looks almost caddish. I don't know if that's just a blemish in the rock and I'm seeing things in a cloud or not though, guys. So we're going to go on. The only way to study them was to photograph them from the boat using full matrix camera and telephoto lenses, she said. At least we can see the basic details of the drawing, she said. All the animals are wild. Many of those engraved on the rocks do not live in these places any longer. Some have become extinct and others have changed their habitats and gone far away. I still think if they took and went out on the boats and then took drones with the badass cameras on them and took them up, that they could even get pictures. You can stop frame that footage. They're filming at high HD now and so on. So you can go up there and hover and you'll get a good frame out of it looking at it. Quite a few of them probably. Some good video footage, and sometimes not just a picture, but a moving video looking at it might give you a little more insight to the depth of it and so on. All of these drawings are clear witnesses of a different nature and landscape compared with the time whenever they were made. So everything's quite well changed. That looks like a horse to me, or a moose. You know, I don't know. It's got more of a tail. I want to go with horse. So, yeah, and that is a horse probably. I don't know. The tail's real skinny, but that's a horse. Images of wild horses now extinct in this area. Okay. Horses used to be there, and the horse people that we talked about, and the Kurgans, and all the Proto-Indo-European guys that were there that brought about domesticating horses here recently. I know that's a moose. Don't even try it. She admitted scientists do not know how accurately to date these images. It's clear that only that they go far back. Pardon me. The earliest known and accurately dated petroglyphs in this Yenisei area are 3,000 to 4,000 years old, so 2000 BC, but these are most definitely older. Yet there are no archaeological anchorages. The best possible solution is to analyze the species of animals and link them to some climatic period where everything changed at, and say, well, it'd have to be from then and back, right? So it must have been from then and back, and you wouldn't say, well, it all ended here, and they'd go, well, that's when the pictures were made, because they'd have to be from before that. So you'd put a little variation on it, but you sure wouldn't put it on the date you knew everything was gone. How did the ancient man clamber to this canvas? The rocks here are sandstone, siltstone, tuffites, limestones, and even dolomites. And image of a moose found close. See, I still think that other one was a moose, but almost had the same type horns. Maybe they bent just a hair. Female moose are out of season. She believes that thousands of years ago these sites were easier to reach. When the artist made the drawings, the configuration of the slopes and the rocks themselves was different, she said. Let's look here again. You know, they usually have this little dewlap thing hanging down here. They didn't make note of that on this one. I didn't see it on the other one either. It's one of the reasons I kind of went, nah. Anyhow, when the artist made the drawings, there were some ledges on which the artist could stand, she proposes, and below there were other levels of rocks located as steps. Since it was very long ago, at least 5,000 years, there have been changes at the geological structures and the tower tiers, or lower tiers, collapsed, exposing the new rocky surfaces on which artists or subsequent epochs applied images. And if everything was going to crap, I don't think they'd be out there drawing on it. And once one or two people died doing it, I don't know if they'd go to do it. Or maybe it was the thing. Maybe they were hanging around like the people in the Green Sahara and mermaiding out and freaking out and just trying to, draw pictures. And, hey, I'll draw a picture way up here. You draw a picture way up there. And I don't know. Is this for people on the lake so they have a movie to watch? Is this prehistoric movies here? We're like, oh, when we're out on the boat, I'd like to see some deer and some animals, but we're not seeing them. So why don't you draw some? Anyhow, so these... boar, huh? So hopefully I'll find some better footage about these, and if it's got something decent in it, or maybe a spaceman in a spaceship or anything neat like that, I'll definitely make a video about it, guys. But just thought I'd share this with you. This is another one. We're kind of up in this area here recently, and we've been talking about the Proto-Amerindian people that come across, and now they show that Eurasian blend that's in them now, in the genetics of the people cutting across here. And so looking into the people that we're talking about and the elder petroglyphs and things is about where we're going to get most of it. And I also have a recent one I did with the totem pole, and it also shows where maybe that perhaps came from too, and the concepts of it, the spirit pole. Anyhow, guys, like, share, and subscribe, and enjoy. Peace.